Hey everyone, it's Mark. This is my recap for Pokemon Journeys episode 99, Marnie from Spikemuth. This was the 1184th episode of the Pokemon anime, and it featured Ash's next World Coronation Series battle. There's plenty to talk about with this episode, and there has also been some other news related to the Pokemon anime, so let's just dive straight into it, shall we? The episode starts with, you guessed it, another recap of the World Coronation Series. Not that we really needed it, but I guess it's a nice reminder that Ash is currently up to 36th place. This transitions right into his opponent for today, Marnie. Wait, are we actually going to jump straight into the battle? That was quick. Wait, never mind. We cut to Ash and Go arriving in Spikemuth, which is most definitely not where we just saw Marnie. Apparently, some Team Yell goons told Ash that his battle isn't going to be in Winden like it was scheduled, and that he should go to Spikemuth instead. When Ash and Go arrive at the gym, they see that Piers is practicing with his band up on stage. When they walk up to Piers, he tries to attack them with his Toxtricity. Obviously, this is not where Ash was meant to go, and when he introduces himself, Piers actually recognizes him. Go is impressed by this, but Piers just knows him because he's his sister's opponent for the day. Evidently, the Team Yell grunts lied to Ash, and now he's running out of time to get to his battle in Winden. Piers offers to take him there himself, and oh yeah, of course, Piers owns a cool motorcycle like this. Now we're talking. I wonder why he can't squeeze Go onto the bike with them. Oh, it's because Piers is like the safest driver ever, and he and Ash drive extremely slowly to Winden. This was actually a pretty funny scene. After explaining that Team Yell would do anything, even lie, to help Marnie win, Piers then explains that there isn't a power spot at Spikemuth, and since his gym doesn't have Dynamax battles, Spikemuth isn't very popular. He explains that Marnie's goal is to revitalize Spikemuth, and she plans on doing that by becoming the champion. Well, she's in the wrong competition for that, but I guess becoming a Monarch would accomplish the same thing. While Ash and Piers are taking their sweet time getting to the stadium, Team Yell is eagerly anticipating Marnie's win by default, but she doesn't want that, and she's prepared to wait for Ash to show up. She doesn't have to wait too long. Ash finally shows up and he immediately gets into it with Team Yell on the sidelines. We don't see Ash get angry at someone like this that often anymore, so that was pretty funny. Team Yell try to defend themselves, but Marnie cuts them off, and oh man, I would not want to be on her bad side. Piers has also made his arrival, making his presence known, and he's ready to cheer for his sister. After a random but cute scene of Pikachu and Morpeko saying hi to one another, their trainers both vow to win the battle, and it's finally time to get this thing started. Go has also arrived just in time, having taken a Corviknight taxi to get there. In the pre-match announcements, Marnie's rank is revealed to be number 29, so Ash is yet again facing another opponent ranked higher than him. While they are introducing Ash, we see him equip his Dynamax band. Another small but cute moment as we cut to Go and Grookey cheering for Ash. I love Grookey's little wave to his friend out on the battlefield. Ash sends out his Gengar, and Marnie chooses Grimmsnarl, which Piers identifies as her ace Pokemon. Go responds by saying that Gengar has gotten a huge power-up, and if you thought he was just talking about Gigantamax, well, prepare to be surprised. The battle doesn't actually start until after the mid-episode commercial break, meaning that only about half the episode was for the battle. Ash starts things off by calling for a Dazzling Gleam. That's a new move, and after landing a hit and dodging an attack, Gengar follows up with a massive Ice Punch. Gengar tries to keep it going with a Shadow Ball, but Grimmsnarl counters with a False Surrender to land some super effective damage. Ash may be slightly in the lead to start things out, but Marnie isn't waiting around very long. She chooses to Gigantamax her Grimmsnarl already, while Ash and Gengar hold off for now. Marnie calls for G-Max Snooze, which should be pretty devastating, but Ash brilliantly uses Dazzling Gleam to protect Gengar from most of the damage. However, it looks like G-Max Snooze's additional effect is activated, and now Gengar is feeling drowsy. It creatively shakes off the drowsiness to stay awake. I guess that's like when a Pokemon in the game shakes off a status condition when its affection for its trainer is high enough. Marnie launches a Max Quake, but luckily Gengar is able to dodge it entirely. It fires off a pair of Sludge Bombs, so yet another new move for Gengar in this battle. Unfortunately, Grimmsnarl just snaps the Sludge Bombs right up, not appearing to take any damage, so that exchange was pretty much null and void on both sides. Ash decides that it's time for he and Gengar to Gigantamax, and they surprisingly did not reuse the same animation from episode 92, but Ash did say the "let's get huge" phrase again, so I did like that. As Gigantamax Gengar enters the battlefield, we cut to a quick scene of Alistair watching the battle on his phone. This was such a minor detail that they didn't even need to include, but I'm really glad they did. Max Ooze is countered by Max Starfall, and by the time the dust settles on that titanic collision, Grimmsnarl has reverted back to its regular form, having used up its 3 Gigantamax turns. As for Gengar, it launches a Max Hailstorm, but this time Grimmsnarl is able to pretty much dodge it entirely, and even lands a head-on Spirit Break. Marnie then calls for a Darkest Lariat. I always love the animation on that move, and Ash uses Gengar Gengar's strongest attack, G-Max Terror. Grimmsnarl is able to stand up to it though, deflecting the onslaught with Darkest Lariat as it charges towards Gengar. Knowing that Gengar's Gigantamax is about to run out, Ash calls for... Wait, did he seriously tell Gengar to swallow Grimmsnarl? Yes he did, and Gengar does just that, reverting back to normal before spitting Grimmsnarl back out. Marnie calls for Stomping Tantrum, and if Grimmsnarl lands this now, it's probably game over for Ash, but we get the dramatic shot of him calling for a Shadow Ball as he encourages Gengar, and this Shadow Ball isn't just strong enough to pierce through the Stomping Tantrum, it's strong enough to drill Grimmsnarl head on, causing a massive explosion. When the dust settles, Grimmsnarl is down and out, and Ash is declared the winner. It's celebration time as Gengar has finally won a match, but the crowd is cheering for Marnie and Grimmsnarl too. The rankings have been updated following this battle, and Ash is now up to number 15 in the World Coronation Series, just a few more spots off the Masters 8. The episode ends outside the stadium where Team Yell are talking about how people are going to want to visit Spikemuth after seeing Marnie battle like that. She gives them a big smile the only way Marnie knows how, and after she and Ash shake hands as a show of respect, we go off the air with another tease of who's awaiting Ash in the Masterclass. Oh yeah, I didn't mention it in the episode recap, but we did get another bingo tile checked off. Now that Marnie officially made her debut, it can't be too long now until we finally get a bingo. That 10 out of 10 rating would be a big tile to check off, but the wait for that continues because I'm giving this episode an 8 out of 10 rating. I liked this episode, I definitely did. I thought it was a good episode, but it was far from perfect in my book. As I always say, Pokemon battles are my favorite parts of the anime, so a battle-focused episode like this one was right up my alley. Unfortunately, I think this battle was a little bit of a letdown for me. And no, not because it didn't go how I predicted it would in my preview for this battle. I got so much wrong in that preview video, but I actually like that. I'd much prefer to be surprised and have things be unpredictable. What was predictable was that the battle was only in the second half of the episode, but I think that's plenty of time for a one-on-one battle like this one was. Gengar learning Dazzling Gleam and Sludge Bomb was cool and all, but it is generally a little bittersweet whenever one of Ash's Pokemon just learns a new move off screen. Like after the initial shock of seeing it for the first time, I can't help but feel like, man, I wish there was more of a story to that. I would have loved to have seen Ash and Gengar training together because they clearly did a lot of that going into this battle. We just only saw their journey to Side to gain the ability to Gigantamax. Speaking of which, the quick shout out to Alistair was cool. I thought this episode had tons of small details like that, which I absolutely loved, such as Marnie's interactions with Morpeko, the intricacies of Piers' character, and a lot of the animation was pretty great as well. Speaking of Marnie and Piers, I thought this episode did a great job exploring their characters, although I do wonder if you needed to have played Sword and Shield to fully understand what was going on with them in this episode. I already consider myself a big fan of Piers and Marnie before this episode, and look, you can even see me cheering Marnie on with the rest of Team Yell in the stadium. Anyways, as I was saying, since I was already invested in these two's story, I loved them in this episode. From Piers doubting himself as Spikemuth's gym leader to Marnie's goal of wanting to show how cool and tough Spikemuth trainers can be, I thought they told a very good, albeit abbreviated version of their story in just one episode. The ending scene with Team Yell pretty much put a bow on this whole plotline, so I don't really think we'll see Piers or Marnie show up again, at least not in the World Coronation series. So that was everything I liked about this episode, which is quite a lot to be fair. That's why I ended up giving it an 8 out of 10. It was cool to see Ash and Gengar win, but unfortunately this battle was a little bit of a letdown for me. I've seen some people call this episode rushed, but when I was watching it, it actually felt like it was pretty slow paced, although maybe I'm just thinking of Piers' motorcycle driving. I thought the battle lacked, I don't know, energy, excitement, just that spark to really make it great. I always enjoy watching battles in the subbed version of the show because I feel like the music adds so much to the battle, but I kind of felt like I was watching the dub at some points in this battle with how little music there was. It felt like they were intentionally trying to make scenes feel more ominous or tense, which I actually thought took away from the battle. This was episode 99 of Journeys. I think it's fair to say this is around the time Ash would be having his 7th gym battle if he was traveling through a region taking on its gym challenge. The rankings reflect that too, with Ash being up to 15th now. He's probably 1 or 2 Ultra Class battles away from entering the Master Class, which is most likely going to be Journey's equivalent of a Pokemon League conference. So even though this was such a key battle for Ash this late on in his World Coronation Series journey, I felt like it was easily the worst of his 3 Ultra Class battles so far, and off the top of my head, this may have only been like the 6th best battle in Pokemon Journeys in my opinion. That said, I did love his recent matches with Volkner and Bee, so I guess guess that was a pretty high bar. Still, that is the precedent that Journeys had set for itself, so I can't help but feel a little disappointed with this battle just by comparison. I thought the Gigantamax tactics were pretty cool. I was once again surprised by how the Gigantamax portion of the battle played out. We didn't get the fairly predictable formula of both Pokemon Gigantamaxing at the same time, only for one Pokemon to win the battle with their third and final attack. I really like how they have been subverting our expectations with the way Gigantamax battling has worked so far. That said, it probably would have been better had Gengar just won the battle with G-Max Terror. After he and Ash worked so hard to unlock Gigantamax, it would only make sense for them to win their next battle with it. I think that's the most in-depth I've gone in an episode review in a while. Let me know if you agreed or disagreed with my thoughts about this battle down in the comments. But now, let's talk about what's coming up next, and it looks like episode 100 is going to be about Ash doing some training with Leon. Why are these two going to be training together? I don't know, but it seems like it could be fun. Personally, I am more excited to see what happens with Go and Professor Sonia, so that's what I will be looking forward to. I think parts of this upcoming episode are based on the cards art aspects of the current opening. Well, I call it the current opening, but actually there's going to be a new opening starting with the next episode, and we already know a little bit about it. It looks like Licia and Wallace are going to be in the new opening. Notice the keystone in Licia's hair, and Clemont and Bonnie are also showing up as well, meaning their returns are imminent. How do I feel about these four? It's cool, I guess. I don't know. I can't pretend to be too excited, but that's usually because I never try to look that far ahead, especially considering the opening isn't even out yet. Apparently, there may have been some leaks going around, and I also know that the next batch of episode titles were released earlier this week, but once again, I actively avoid all of that stuff, so honestly, I don't know anything about what's coming up in Journeys outside of the preview for the next episode and those two screenshots of the upcoming new opening, so don't be that guy and try to spoil anything for me. With that, I think that's all I have to say today. This has been my longest episode review in a while, but I was so excited for this episode, I knew it would give me a lot to talk about. Thank you all so much for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, and let me know your thoughts down in the comments. I'll see you guys next time.